I gotta say that being a dad is one of the best things that I do. Um, I love spending as much time as possible with the kids with reasonable breaks. You know what I mean?
And I feel like I don't want to say the opposite because that sounds bad, but I'm okay like
Or it sounds
having
true.
breaks. You're right. Why am I putting a judgment on it? I'm okay, with time away. And I love being a mom. I think I'm really good at it, but I don't have to be with the littles all the time. Gina,
Yeah.
what do you think? I'm interested to know your opinion, your take.
I do love being a mom. I agree. It's a one of the greatest joys and it keeps me from working all day. Otherwise I would just work. What else I got? I do enjoy being a mom, but I also enjoy those times away. As a co-parent, I get to be relieved of my duties for 6 weeks in the summer. So that's my time, 6 weeks. It comes in clutch. I think
Oh,
every
you got
parent needs a 6 week break. Every
Oh, now
parent,
I'm
I'm saying,
jealous.
I'm putting it on record. A 6 week break it will revive you and get you through the next year.
All
you're on
right.
like a 9 month contract. I feel like that's a little bit.
We're gonna get
That
into
part.
this. Now I have questions.
We're rocking it with the first guest ever on the Parents and Professors podcast. Let's go.
Yo, parents, yo, parents, yo, parents and professors. Yo, parents, yo, parents, yo, parents and professors.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Parents and Professors podcast with your favorite triple C's, co-parents, colleagues, and collaborators. This is the podcast where we explore the intersection of co-parenting, education, and anything else we might find interesting at the time. I am Dr. Michael Stephen Williams.
And I'm Dr. Marjorie Dorme Williams.
And we are proud to be joined today with our first guest ever, Dr. Gina Garcia. I'm gonna hit the major strokes of her extensive and reckless bio, but I also feel like I gotta personalize and let you know that Cardi G is one of the people who I feel most loved and inspired by in the entire field of higher education. A leader of the Faculty of Color cohort 2014, the greatest collection of scholars ever seen in higher education scholarship. Get at us
Wow.
if you want.
Wow.
The number of full professors is growing by the day. Gina is one of them. And Dr. Gina Garcia is a professor in the Berkeley School of Education. Drawing on theories of change, her research explores how Hispanic serving institutions embrace an organizational identity for serving minoritized populations. She coined the term servingness. Yeah, so if you find yourself saying servingness, know that that's from Cardi G, which is a framework for organizing and envisioning new futures for HSIs. As an author, she wrote Becoming Hispanic Serving Institutions, Opportunities for Colleges and Universities, Transforming Hispanic Serving Institutions for Equity and Justice, and the HSI Movement, Strategies Driving Change at Hispanic Serving Institutions. She also created and co-authored the workbook, Transforming HSIs for Equity and Justice, a practitioner's workbook, and is the host of the popular podcast, Que Pasa HSIs. At UC Berkeley, Dr. Garcia serves as the inaugural faculty director of Latinx Thriving Initiatives, LTI, and directs the Higher Education Action Research for Transformation Heart, as you can see over her shoulder, lab. Much love and welcome to the Parents and Professors podcast.
Thanks, y'all. I'm super excited to be here. I
Wow.
listen, I listen. So I'm like, ooh, I don't know what I'm going to contribute, but I'm coming with it. I'm ready.
You got plenty. You got plenty.
I'm just glad we finally made this happen. I feel like we've been talking about it for quite some time. So,
Since Ash, for real.
yeah, it's been a
Almost a
minute. It
year.
was at a year, 2 years ago now. I think it was 2 years ago.
It's been a
So,
It's a little
while.
bit. There's
It's
some
been a while.
footage that has disappeared. Some people that need to be tackled. Maybe they're light
oh,
skinned and they wear ascots. Um, yeah.
we're trying to get them on next. So,
or we'll have a reckoning when he arrives. So last week we talked about the 3 hour
oh,
bomb and the controversy around that. I think today is an opportunity to get even more personal and invite our guests into the conversation. So we'll cover a couple of things. One, how Marjorie and I kind of hold the parent identity a little differently. Two, the cultural script, and I believe that this is a cultural female script, and I've had versions of this conversation before. And why telling the truth about how hard it is to be a parent might be one of the healthier things that we do. It's a really important set of conversations that we need to work through.
absolutely. And as always, before we dive in, our Disclaimer, this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are our own. Our discussion is based on personal experiences, publicly available information, and general knowledge. We make every effort to be accurate, but encourage you to verify facts for yourself. We are not attorneys, so nothing we say is legal advice. We are not therapists, although I do have a degree in social work. Please consult qualified professionals for guidance on your own situations. And with that, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's open with a question. So for me, the crux of the conversation a lot of times is just about perspective. And I think that sometimes when Marjorie and I are in our co-parenting disagreements, much of it is the assumption that like you have to have the perspective that I have versus your own. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I do think mining what is different about how we approach things is valuable not only for our kids, but also for other parents who might be struggling in similar ways. So what I wanted to start with is, and this is for both of you, do you hold parenting as an identity, as a responsibility, or as like some kind of mix of both of those? And how has that changed over the years, especially as your kids have grown older?
Yeah. Gina, do you wanna start?
Yeah, I can jump in. I mean, that's a deep question. I mean, obviously it's a responsibility, right? Like you choose to become a parent, like you choose to take on being responsible for a human or multiple humans, those of us that have multiple humans, for a lifetime, right? Like I have a 16-year-old who will turn 17 soon, who's going into his senior year. And I'm not thinking like, oh my gosh, one more year and I'm done with this. Like, I'm like, we got so much more work to do. Like, this is not ever over. Like, this child is not ready to go into the world,
Yes.
Yes. And so I watched Love Island, y'all, and I'm like, yo, one of these could be my kid in a couple years. And like,
No.
I know, and these dudes this season are trash, and I don't want him to be trash, but he might. He might. So I'm like, I got some work to do,
Oh.
So, it's harsh, right? But that's how I've been watching Love Island. Like, oh man, one of these could be my children. So yeah, it's a responsibility, right? Like, and it doesn't stop. Thinking that he's almost 18 doesn't mean it's going to be over anytime soon. So yeah, responsibility for sure. But is it an identity? Yes. And I think for me, because I am a scholar, it's a scholar mom identity, right? And that's been a identity that many of us have taken up in the academy, that like we are both and they can happen at simultaneously. And I love when people bring in, I mean, I love the work y'all do bringing in like the name of the podcast, right? Like we can be parents and we're both, right? We're parents and professors, right? We are, when people bring their children on to campus, when they bring them to conferences, all of that stuff, I think is part of this identity that's like joint, right? This scholar mom. So yeah, I definitely think it's a part of my identity, and I hold it very close to me. I'm not one that ever like written about that, but I appreciate folks that do that as well, because it's true. It's both. So I think it's a part of my identity, and it's never gonna not be a part of my identity. I'm always going to be their mom. I don't care how old they are. I don't care how old I am.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, I am.
Or how much taller than me they might get. So like, I just...
Both of our children
girl, same.
yeah.
Like, what is it? I brought you into this world. I could take you out. So like, don't get it twisted.
They're also deeply unafraid of your shortness.
I mean, no, they're unafraid of my shortness, but there is something about how I parent that does, I don't want to say fear, healthy respect. I think healthy fear. So like I think
the word you're searching for is Papa Doc or despotic.
But I like hearing that, like, if something happens at school and the response is, I'm going to call your mom, and they're like, oh no, please don't. Like, that makes me feel good. Like, I feel like I've done a good job as a parent. It's a good indicator of some sorts.
Now you're making me want to activate social justice frameworks from the rip. Like you want a punishment and discipline-based society where fear is what forces compliance?
I mean, they have to learn it somewhere. No,
it's not fear, it's respect.
Yes, and responsibility. And responsibility.
And like, oh yeah, if they call mom, that's
yes.
I respect my mom more than anything. So I look at it like that. Yeah,
you're calling upper level management.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Or like Maya will see you and come ask me questions like I live in your house. Like, Tati, can I have? Or, Tati, when are we? And I'm like, your dad is right over there.
I think that I've reflected on that kind of reality a lot, and I got an opportunity. We were at a wedding last weekend with all three of the kids in Dallas, and one of the other moms was complaining about the same thing. I was like, it's because you have a respectful male partner. Like, they're deferential to you. So if the kids see me deferring to you when it comes to questions, then they're going to naturally be like, why do I use dad as an intermediary? I'm just going to go straight to management. Like, that doesn't, I think that's about a healthy, like, non-patriarchal reference
Yeah.
point of a father, because there are other family situations, and some of us grew up in those situations where it's like, ask your dad, and like whatever dad says is the final word.
Yeah. Also very true.
It's a good reframing. I'll take it.
I guess I think my ideas around parenting have changed. And honestly, as I was thinking about this episode, I don't think when I was younger, I really considered like the responsibility that being a parent would entail. I was more like Maya. I was like, oh, when you get older, you get married, you have kids, you have a family, you buy a house. Like, that's what being an adult means. And I think parenting and motherhood were simply extensions of adulthood. Now, I would say that is not the case at all. It is a whole identity. I think for those of us who chose it intentionally, there is both a sense of pride for me in being a good mom, right? Whatever that means, as well as not wanting to be viewed as deficient in any way, right? And so, like, when Michael and I got divorced, one of my biggest concerns was, how are people going to see me, and are they going to think I'm just a, quote unquote, stereotypical, single Black mom? And so I felt like not only am I responsible for the kids and their well-being and like helping them become their own responsible adults, but I also felt this sense of, and less now, but certainly in the beginning, like, I need to do everything I possibly can to look good as a mom. Like, I am now, and this shouldn't be the case, but it is, especially I think where we live in Columbia, Missouri, where there are not very many Black families who share our identities and status. And so for me, I feel like the older I've become, the more and more I feel the responsibility of motherhood. Like, it is a constant, ever-present thing in my mind where I'm always thinking about, like, what's next, or what did I forget, or like, is this taken care of? Like, I need to make sure I'm on top of it, because it's not only for their well-being, but also, right, like, how you're viewed as a parent.
I think that stereotype threat is available to Black men, especially, as well. And so, like, I would never be in a situation where I would be comfortable being seen as a stereotypical deadbeat dad, or like a non-involved
Right.
partner and parent. And I feel like in some ways that's how our situation is a little bit different. Even in the open, when Gina was talking about 6 weeks of relief in the summer, I was like, that would never work. Yeah, like, I would never be comfortable with an arrangement where I wasn't seeing my kids on a much more regular basis.
6 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, 6 weeks. But
Long
6
time.
weeks is,
I was sad. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if y'all saw my post, but I said, not gonna lie, I'm sad.
yeah,
It
like
hurts.
6 weeks is a long time to be away from your kids in general. But it's also, to me, the other side of it, which is that, oh, you have primary parenting responsibilities for the rest of the year outside of those 6 weeks. And that, to me, I would never agree to a custody arrangement like that. Like, I need to see my kids every other day, every other week. Like, I need to be a constant factor and force in their life, helping them process things, helping them kind of see around corners, giving them some of what I think is necessary to offer them as a father. And I think there's a lot of different ways to approach that. But I couldn't imagine a scenario where I don't get to interact with them on a regular basis. And I don't know if that's so much like my sense of, maybe it's a combination of a sense of identity. Like, my identity as a parent is directly related to my identity as a person. And one of the things that I find most valuable about myself, and that I know is something that I cherish and is important to me, is just showing up for people. Like, being physically present, being emotionally present, being around for the ups and the downs, like being somebody that checks on people, and like not feeling like you can't do that with your kids, or feeling like you're interrupting or like stepping on toes to do that for your kids, is not a situation that I would necessarily want to be in. I think that if I were thinking about the evolution of that mindset, it is a little different because I feel like the older my kids get, the more they need their mom, which is like an interesting twist of fate for me. Like now I'm at a point, so our oldest is 15, got his driver's permit. He's getting tall. He's like not having to do the vertical thing anymore. He's like almost looking me in the eye. And so I feel like that's opened up some different avenues for me to share my ideas about like manhood and masculinity, what it means to be a man, what it means to be responsible, what it means to support your family, to like really care for the people around you. Because me and him are the only boys. He's got a mom, a stepmom, and two sisters. I think the difference with my eldest daughter is the role modeling that's provided, because a lot of times the most important things your kids are getting from you is not from what you're saying or what you're telling them to do. It's how you actually live your life, like how you work, how you move around. And so them having the physical and visible record of me and their mom working hard, us sacrificing for the family, us thinking about how to work through problems, and how our collaboration is really always targeted towards uplifting us as a unit, like uplifting the family as a whole. I think that's much more important now than it used to be. And so where I took presents for granted a little bit more, just because it's like, all right, we do 2-2-5. So Monday and Tuesday, they're at my house. Wednesday, Thursday, they're at Marjorie's house. And we alternate the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now I'm much more like, oh, we don't want to disrupt the rhythm too much, because those disruptions disrupt the communication. Those disruptions give them space to be on BS, especially the boy. So when you were giving the Love Island example earlier, I was like, ooh, I could definitely see my son being an ancient nigga on Love Island. If we don't,
not my baby.
Yeah, like if we don't prepare him
KC,
appropriately, because
don't be KC.
Anytime, so the show that I love, that like provides a whole lot of avenues for a lot of these conversations is couples therapy. And you can see these dynamics in couples therapy where it's like, oh, this is the guy who's just used to doing whatever the women who control him tell him to do. And he's comfortable with that. That's his identity. And I'm like, I don't want my son to be that. And I see in some ways how our family situation defaults him to a version of that.
Yeah. I think when you're talking, I'm thinking about something important, like that you brought up for me is like, so my kids, my co-parent is a Black man, right? And I am a Latina woman, right? And I think one of the hardest things about our situation, and our situation is because we lived in different states. Now we just live in different parts of the state, that we could never do it 2-2-5, right? So it had to be one parent had them. And they were so young that it, sort of defers to the mother, right? I think, y'all bring in genders of it.
It's real. I mean, it's real. That was one of my biggest fears.
Yeah, it's got to be the mom. But it's hard. I think I have thought about that for years, about like the importance of, I have two Black boys, having a Black male figure in their life regularly all the time, right? Like that you talk about, that's your joy, right? Is so important, right? And I have a partner and he is a Black man and they have grown up with him as well, but that's not their dad, and they know that, and he like we all know all the boundaries of everybody's identities, right? And so I think that's hard, right? It's really hard. So as you were talking, I was thinking about that, right? That a lot of pressure on the co-parenting. It looks different in all these, right? And we all in different ways, but that's been a hard one for me, to have to always constantly thinking about, how do I raise Black boys? I'm not a Black man, right? Like that's really, really hard and a lot of pressure. And I think really intentionally about it, and do very intentional things to make sure that they have those role models and Black male figures in their life.
Yeah, that's
Could you say a
important.
little bit more about that, Gina? So I'm interested to hear how you've navigated both this gendered as well as racial ethnic component to, right, like being mom. So you're mom, and now you have all this extra stuff, right? Like again, there's now this additional responsibility to not just mom and parent, but you're also having to think about right, who they are and like who they're going to grow up to be. So I'm just curious how you did that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, like I do a lot of, a lot of it is books, movies. We're big into, we watch TV as a family, right? Like we do that every single night. The number of Black family shows we watch, like we watch all of them, like name it. We watched it, Blackish, Everybody Hates Chris, right? Like all of them, because like any sort of way, right? Like, and I defer to that. Like I almost prefer to do whatever it is, the Black things, right? Like, so that they get that, rather than be like, no, like selfish of me to be like, I know who I am. I know my culture. I know all that, right? I need them to be solid and understand. And then also they have exposure to me all the time. So they know what it's like to be raised by a Latina mom too, right? Like they know that. They know that part of life. They don't have to
She hit me
they
with a
can talk
chancleta.
about that all day. They know about them chanclas. No. They know the chanclas. They know that stuff, you know? And so so I'm very intentional in all the things that we do, that's the things that we choose to do and the conversations we have, right? Like even our family things we do, like we snowboard, right? Like with me and my partner and the kids. But when we go snowboarding, it's very white. It's a very white sport. It's a very
I was gonna
white
say,
sport.
how
Like
did you end
pickleball.
up there?
It's a very white influence sport, okay? And so we talk about that, right? We have to talk about those things, right? Like, oh, did y'all see that one black person on the hill on the mountain beside y'all? Right? Like we are very open about it, right? But I mean, y'all know me. This is what I do in my work, right? So I'm not afraid to talk about race. I talk about racism. I talk about white supremacy. Like we have these conversations. So it's just a very open conversation all the time in our house about race and ethnicity and identity and racism and all the things.
Yeah, that's valuable to me. So, obviously you guys know that I remarried and my second wife is Latina. And so I think about that a lot, just in terms of like what it means to embrace and kind of make space for racial socialization when that's not your home kind of space. But I think one of the benefits is, my Latina wife grew up in New Jersey with like majority black friends. And so there's some socialization mechanisms that are kind of already baked into the experience, but there are also some lines that like she doesn't want to feel comfortable kind of crossing. And I feel like having the partnership of a close relationship with my co-parent and a wife who like strategically defers, like, hey, that I don't like that, but that's something for you and Marjorie to kind of handle or to think about.
Can you give an example? Like what?
I think one of the things, I mean, there's so many different examples. Where would you want me to start? I think I need a more precise question.
Sorry. So you were mentioning that given some of these racial dynamics that she defers, even though she has grown up with, black people, she has black friends, not
in the way that
not in the way, right? Yeah, not to say.
I know, I can see it in your face.
But I think that's.
I was like, as I'm saying it, that's not how I'm trying to say it.
Yeah, but I think that's exactly the point, right? So that I think she's very conscious of the fact that her socialization as a young person doesn't give her access to like the black experience. Like she wouldn't want to speak on behalf of black people. Right. And in fact, like a lot of questions, she asked me a lot of questions. Like, hey, like, how are you thinking about this as a black man? Like, how do you feel about your son doing this or saying this or showing up in this way at school based on him being a black man? And like, where can I help you? Where can I support you? Like, what kind of conversations are you and Marjorie having with him? Right? Like, those are places where that deference or kind of that seeking of additional input, I see it on a pretty regular basis, to the point where like sometimes it's annoying to me. I'm like, yo, just tell him what you tell the other kid. Like the baby is black too. That like
so
all of my kids are black. Like I have 3 children. All of them have a black daddy. They are all black kids.
They're all black kids, like mine. Yeah. I say I have black boys. I say mixed race a lot, but I say I have black boys because that in America means something.
Yes, I mean socially that's the way they'll be treated. Like the darker your skin is, the way that you physically
be treated that way.
Yeah,
hands down. Yeah, but I agree with that. I am the same way. Like I also have always very much been immersed in black culture, but it doesn't make me black. It doesn't mean I have the black experience. And so I don't ever try to do that, right? Like I just don't. And I think y'all know me well enough to know I don't do that, right? It's just not me, right?
Yeah. But I
think
I'm
not going to parent that way either.
Right. I think there's another piece to it too, right? So I have the privilege because Marjorie's culture is Haitian, and the kids think about that. They have a grandmother who doesn't speak English. There are ways that they've already had to complicate their black identity in some important ways. And that like, I'm also very careful because I have a huge problem with the way that like immigrant black populations treat black Americans. Like
organic blacks.
Yeah. Like you're not inherently better because your ancestors weren't enslaved. Like, and if I go to your country right now, like you live here for a reason. Like, but the problem is a lot of people don't have those conversations. And in fact, like some of the conversations that Marjorie and I navigated earlier in our marriage were about like the differences in black identity. Just because the police treat us the same way doesn't mean that the way that we conceptualize ourselves or the way that we move through society or even what our expectation and goals are necessarily the same. And I think having those conversations with each other better equips you to have those conversations with the kids. Like, yes, you're Haitian. You're also Black American, and here are some of the things that would be good. Like, I would love for my children to have a close connection to their Haitian heritage. I would love for them to speak Creole. I would love for them to have a sense of that so that they could kind of navigate those different worlds, and just have the, I mean, I'm a huge like James Bond fan generally. Like when I was growing up, I'm like, man, like I want my kids to be like Bond. You should speak 7 languages and be able to show up anywhere on the planet. You know, for the boy, you know, like maybe you smooth with the ladies and shaking not stirred on them. Like,
leave my baby out of this.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like, and I even think that, right? I think it's funny. There's a picture that hangs in my office of my son when he couldn't be. I mean, he's probably only walking for a couple of months, but he had this T-shirt and it says "eligible bachelor" on it. And I was like, man, you remember the shirt?
Yes.
And I was like, huh? Like they trying to pimp my baby out from the age of 2.
It was so cute, and in hindsight, I'm like, this is so unnecessary. He's a toddler.
Yeah,
like,
but now that he's older, to me, part of the reconnection to those ideas is like, yeah, like I want my son to feel good about himself. I want him to be physically attractive. I want him to be mentally and emotionally attractive. I want him to be somebody that I would be proud of, and that if I saw him on Love Island because he so chose it, that he would not be one of the fuck boys. Like he would be one of the ones that they're fighting over because he's got a good head on his shoulders, and we've trained him well, right?
Now I'm like trying to match a Maximilian on Love Is Blind.
Oh, he would be so frustrating. He would trick somebody with like Australia and international travel talk. And then they get on the other side of the wall and he'd be trying to watch anime and they'd be tight.
I did not sign up for this. Your comment though, Michael, I think does bring me back to our initial question in terms of thinking about the responsibility of parenthood. And so even as you were mentioning, oh, you know, like wanting the kids to speak Creole, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's another thing that you're not on top of, and like you're failing to do this thing, and like that's it's your response, because who else is gonna?
But like, where does
else.
where does the word failing come from? Because I feel like the way that you frame it has a lot to do with how you feel about it.
It is
so like, where do you like, where are you absorbing this kind of like failing mantra idea? Like, where's that coming from?
Childhood? I don't know.
That's the point of the question. Let's mine it, right? Because I don't.
So let me think.
I think that, so I'll give you a little bit of time to think, because I think one of the things I find it particularly obnoxious, but I know too many men that defy the stereotypes actively to believe it. So this idea about Black men as absentee fathers, this idea about Black men as like not spending time with their kids or like trying to opt out of taking care of them, blah, 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 blah. I know too many Black men who center their children. I know the statistics about the involvement of Black men as parents and how it's higher than every other racial ethnic group combination.
Yes.
So that to me, if you think about like a duck with the oil on their feathers so the water rolls off of you, like I've always seen that as a form of protection, where I'm like, all right, you're saying dumb stuff, but I know better, both through my actions and the broader statistics. And so the failure narrative, to me, that's just like a oppressive stereotype that people try to activate whenever they want to fearmonger, which, I mean, we're constantly going, like if you turn on Fox News, I'm sure that there's some negative portrayal of Black men going on right now.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, but so where does the failing, and this is for both of you, but like starting with Marjorie, like where does that failing message, where do you absorb that from? Like, where does that come from?
I think this is aligned with the fact that I do think about parenting in terms of responsibility. And so if you don't take care of your responsibilities, that's a failure. Like you have failed to perform, to achieve, to do what's expected of you. And I think my struggle or frustration with not just parenthood, but motherhood especially, and motherhood as a Black woman, is that there are all of the, and I guess to your point, Michael, right? Like I sometimes feel like there are all of these assumptions about who and what I am because of my identity as a mom. And in my mind, I feel like I need to perform in a way that proves those things wrong. And some of that performance for me is like, I got to check all the boxes. So like, you know, are my kids healthy? Do they go to all their doctor's appointments, right? If there's something wrong, are we taking care of it? Do they have clothes to wear? And like, you know, your daughter would live in Nike all the time if she could, but like, at least they're, you know, they're fed, they're taken care of. There is food in the house, there are books in their hands, that we do enrichment, right? Like it's one of the reasons that we're in Jack and Jill is, in my mind, we live in Columbia, Missouri, and they don't have a lot of exposure to other Black children who are, again, similarly socially situated, right? Like class or socioeconomic status and those kinds of things. They have lots of
Bougie.
white friends. I
They're
don't want to
bougie,
say bougie. I was
upper
trying
middle
to
class.
like.
Well, I mean,
I
I
was
think
gonna
you,
say it. I
yeah,
was like,
like,
y'all in Jack and Jill because y'all bougie. Let's
yeah,
just
yeah. Well,
let's
I think that that's
okay.
like one of the things that people
But I like your
want to avoid that.
racialization.
Yes, right.
But
And
don't
it's
avoid
funny
the fact that, like, yo, we've done very well, and we would like you to be able to protect our assets and take our family even further than we did.
Yes.
And so, like, let us set up
Yes.
the social mechanisms to give you an opportunity to do that, but also a reverence for your culture and from whence you came.
Not gonna lie, there was a couple that got married, I think a year ago, and there was a write-up in the New York Times, and they were like they met in Jack and Jill. And like when I tell you this article was making the rounds and all the moms were like, this is why we're here, right? She was like some like ad executive and he was like a lawyer and it was like this huge thing and they're like successful together. And you're like, yeah, like this is
Yeah.
there's some pre-screening that happens in a space like that that I think is important, right? And as a mom, I'm thinking ahead to I'm going to put you in spaces to offer you opportunity to meet
Get
like-minded folks.
Are we going to complicate that? Are we going to complicate that at all? Or are we going to just let that rock? Because that's a whole different conversational path, right? Because if it is
I'm curious,
naturally
yeah.
restrictive based on means, and
Yes.
so much of the work that we do as scholars is about access. Where's
Tell me
the
more.
where's the crossover? Like, is this a version of like, hey, this is what I write, this is what I advocate for, this is what I fight for, but this is what I actually believe in practice?
Well, no, because I would also say that everything isn't for everybody. And I think that just because other, let's say families don't have access to Jack and Jill, doesn't mean that there aren't things that, you know, I can do as an individual, Jack and Jill does as an organization to contribute to our communities. I feel like just because I'm supporting doesn't mean that I also can't elevate my own. Now, I thought you were going to say something in terms of the boy versus the girl, which is where I thought you were going with that.
I'm gender wars is too easy, and it's 2 versus 1 right now. So I'm not playing them games. I'm much more. I do think that there's a gender dimension to the idea of failing as a parent, right?
Yes,
And so
for sure.
when I hear you talk about being a parent and what your set of responsibilities are, it almost feels corporate to me. As like, all right, here are the KPIs. Like,
yes,
we know that this quarter we need to grow this much. We need to do this many books. We need to do. And for me, it's like, are you a good person? Are you somebody that I wish to be around? Like, what does your mom think you should be doing so I can make sure that you do that? But I'm not framing my idea about fatherhood so much in terms of like what I'm giving my kids. I think by default of the privilege that we have of being like parents that have PhDs and that understand a lot about how society and money and like all these different things work, the most important thing that I'm kind of concerned about would be like, is my kid an asshole? Like, that's when I would feel like I was failing. Like the word failing would never even come into my brain. Like, and I think part of it is also because the floor is a little bit lower for me because like I was raised in poverty and my family isn't as prolific as your family. That I already know that they're way better off, and they've been to countries that I've never been to before. They've done things that I've never even dreamed of doing, and like we did that for them. Like,
yeah,
the presence, the contribution, the fiscal parts of it. Like I already know that we are collectively providing a really great life for these kids that is going to set them up to far surpass anything that we had access to. And so for me, it's more, I think of it more in terms of like, am I giving you more choices? Like, do you feel like you have to go to law school? Do you feel like you have to go to business school? Do you feel like you have a very narrowly circumscribed set of opportunities to be successful yourself? And like, I wouldn't want them to feel that way. And so I just approach it a little bit differently.
I can speak on the failing because when you said that, I was like, yep. And I'll give you my example of I'm like, I failed as a parent. Okay, so I'm gonna say something. Y'all don't judge me because then you're gonna
we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah, we listen and we don't judge.
So my kids don't know how to ride a bike, okay? My older son, Jovan, I see you judging, okay? My older son, Jovan, swears he does, but he don't. And my younger son says he don't want to ride a bike, so why would he? And I feel like I failed as a parent. And then I blame it on where I lived, right? We lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Anybody knows Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? There's like no sidewalks. The streets are full of potholes because it like snows and they don't fill them. And we lived on a hill. So Pittsburgh is very hilly. Like I walk 10 miles uphill to school thing. You can literally do that in Pittsburgh. Like you can keep walking uphill, and never go downhill. So it very hilly, like it wasn't very a conducive environment. So I just never had the desire to teach them. And they never asked. They never wanted to ride a bike. What kind of kid don't want to ride a bike, right? Whereas I think about our house now, we live in California. It's more, a little more suburby kind of, and we have perfect sidewalks and like we live like on a cul-de-sac. We could literally go around the block many of the times. And I probably would have done it, but there was like no desire. But now I feel like I failed as a parent because I'm like, my kids don't even know how to ride a bike.
Yeah, see, I have a different perspective on that because I grew up with
judging me. Yeah, two of y'all don't judge me.
No, there's
I'm
no
surprised. It's not judgment. I'm just surprised.
I wouldn't even consider it judgment or surprise.
Okay.
I think it's very connected. So I'm a military brat, and I grew up in all kinds of different parts of the country. Depending on where you are, one of the things I was most surprised about was when I moved to the Northeast and I would meet grown-ass people who didn't have a driver's license. Like people who are 27, 28, like 33, and like, oh, I just never learned how to drive because I live in New York City. I take the train everywhere. Like it doesn't make it. And so I would liken the bike riding to that. Like it's not a judgment thing. It's just a PCR.
It's not the same.
Marjorie's like, nope.
I mean, if
I see what you did there.
True. In Pittsburgh, clearly,
to me, it's the same thing. Like you didn't know how to swim
out there riding bikes.
No, because like to me, it would be more like you don't know how to swim, right? So like Marjorie learned how to swim as an adult.
Yes.
And like
my kids know how to swim. That was a high priority.
But the kids know how to swim because I was like, I didn't, and I was like, I need to. It's a box that needs to be checked, and so
yeah.
Lessons.
That's the thing. I was very much like my kids have to know how to swim. I was like so afraid of them drowning. Right? I don't know why. I want parents. We have these random real fears, and drowning was one of them. I was like, oh no, my kids are not drowning. They had to swim, but bike wasn't on the list. I just didn't care. If they learned, they would have had to initiate it. Like they want to learn how to ride. And I'd be like, okay, cool, let's go. They want to ride a bike.
Okay.
Weird, right?
That's a good one. No, that's a good one.
And so I feel like I failed as a parent in that way. Although now at their age they are, I feel like I could teach them in like a day, right? Like it's not hard to ride a bike.
Right. You should be able to do this now. It's actually maybe better to wait.
I've asked. And like I said, Jaren's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Why would I ride a bike?
My issue is more, I think it's crazier to be from an island nation and not know how to swim than it is to be from a very hilly urban area and not know how to ride a bike. Like, but that's just me. I
have taken lessons to remedy the situation. In fact, Mizzou owes me 4 more lessons because my instructor he was an undergrad. They use undergrads to teach, and there are pros and cons to that particular workforce. Like, they don't show up. Just not showing up. And when my lesson is at, 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm there and you're not there, I feel some type of way about that. So I do think, so like the Haitian Creole is I feel like that's a failure on my part as a mom, as the only, ethnic speaking second language parent. But it's like hard, and I think it is an endless, and maybe I appreciate the corporate analogy. Like in my mind, it's just this drop down list of like all of the things that need to be taken care of and all of the things that I need to do just for them, not including I have a job. Like I have to do my job to pay this rent so you have a place to live, and also somewhere in there take care of myself, right? Oh, so this was part of this is how we got here. So last time we talked about I forgot her name, Emma Grede, I think.
Emma Grede.
Right. She's some like entrepreneur woman, and she wrote a book about like her background and like how you can do it too. And she's been going on, tours, and did this interview, and essentially she was like, yeah, I'm a 3-hour max mom. Like I give them 4 kids. It's like I give them 3 hours and then that's it. And then, the help takes care of the rest. And I'm like, that is so crazy. you are very lucky and privileged, but like the rest of us can't like I can't. And I was annoyed because right before it, I'd spent like 9 hours at a soccer tournament the weekend before. Like I don't necessarily want to be at a soccer tournament for 9 hours on a Saturday after I've worked all week and I'm really, really tired and I just want to, do my own thing. But I think it's also, if failure is on one side of it, I think the other side is being a good mom means doing things that you don't want to do because, like, that's what being a responsible adult is. And so parenting is, yeah, we're gonna drive 2 hours to some other town to watch you lose a game. And you're gonna play maybe 5 minutes and like
That part.
it's
That
just
part. Oh, yeah.
this year should be better. This year
No
should be
comment.
better. It's just-
I love you, Makaria.
I wasn't naming any names.
There's
I
only
was
one
just
travel
giving
soccer player in our
a
family. That is our
generic
child.
example. Lots of kids who play soccer, Michael.
Oh, but I think that there's I mean, it connects to like a broader idea, right? Because it's okay to have differing feelings about what it means to be a parent and also like how you want to spend your time as a parent. There is no one size fits all approach to it. Like I have no interest either in spending 9 hours on a soccer trip, but I'm always thinking about how to make it fun. Like, all right, well, is there a bar close by? Like, like what kind of feedback can I give my daughter about whether and how she's getting the playing time that I think deserves a 4-hour round trip drive? What are the things that we can think about collectively? And like, what is this teaching you? Like, what is this teaching you about hard work? What is this teaching you about collaboration? What is this teaching you about how you want to show up in the places that you show up? And also to me, like part of it is I think that we share some of the values and like we manifest those values in the things that they do extracurricularly, right? So like Marjorie and I are very competitive, like just period about most things.
Everything. Life is a competition.
And I think that competitiveness manifests itself a little bit differently, kind of the same way that the parenting piece of it does. Like Marjorie's a little more cutthroat than I am because she's trying to get these boxes checked. And I'm like, I mostly want to win so I can talk shit. But also I'm thinking about it as like a framework for me. Like, did I do my best? And I've generally been persuaded that my best is better than most others. And so like if I do my best, then I'm gonna be in pretty good situation. And so even that, like teaching your kids about different ways to approach the same idea, like different ways to approach competitiveness, different ways to approach resource allocation, like thinking about time as a resource. I think that those are a lot of important things that we can kind of work on and kind of think about.
Gina, to your point earlier when you'd mentioned, right, like we bring sort of that we're scholars and moms, and there's all of this that a Latina woman. Do you feel like when you engage with your kids that they like, do they see and understand that? Like I sometimes feel like they don't, and they're children, right? So like,
are you asking like whether they know it's hard or not?
Yeah, like I sometimes just feel like they don't, and that's okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I definitely don't think they no. No, I don't think they think about it. I don't think they care. I talk a lot about my kids are like, I'm like, y'all are so privileged, right? Like y'all are so spoiled, right? Like I give them the world and their dad does too, right? Like those 6 weeks they're with them, believe me, they are like they're living, right? Like they are enjoying life. And I think we shield them from a lot of the things, right? Like, even the idea, like, I don't really embrace the identity of like a single mom, right? But the reality is I've raised these kids on my own for a long time, right? Already. And so I do think that, right? I'm like, damn, I'm a single mom, like I'm a single mom, right? Like, and I freaking raise these kids, right? I ensure that they have everything they need all the time, all the time. And to be real, when they're gone right now. Like I get the email, got to register for the SAT. Immediately, I'm like, Jovan, did you register? Okay, here's the email, right? Like I'm still momming all the time, right? All the time. It never stops. So I think I shield them from it. Like I don't let them see the crying, right? The like the hard, right? Like that, like this is really hard. And I've had to get through a lot of things, right? I keep that off from them, right? But I think that's part of parenting, right? Like we shouldn't have to our kids shouldn't have to experience the hurt and the pain, right? And I think I feel lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to shield them from that, right? Like, nah, y'all life is good, right? Just enjoy your life, right? I call them, Michael, I think I got this from you, a meme, the broke little homies. Oh, I call
Oh,
them the broke little homies.
absolutely. That's like I got this
Yeah,
broke
the
little.
broke little homies. They ask me for money and I just respond, broke little homies.
Yeah,
Broke homies need money like all the time. They are your homies and they never have money.
Well, stay one to kick it and do
Yeah.
stuff.
Like,
Be in
hey,
the
Dad,
streets.
I was thinking for dinner tonight that we should go to a restaurant. Like, with whose money, G? Like,
Yeah,
what-
are you
like,
paying?
like, y'all
You
want to
invited?
live, y'all want to live the yacht life, and you
So they
making
have
no
learned
income.
to flip it and they'll go, Mom, we know you worked really hard today. And so you shouldn't have to make dinner. And I'm like, oh, I appreciate you thinking about my well-being, but there's food at home. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Like, but
So,
the solution
cooking.
is you should cook.
Right.
Yeah, some of the food at home.
No, their
That would make me
solution
feel
is
great.
get Grubhub. No, that's the privilege our kids have had, right? And we're blessed, right, to be able to give our kids that. So I'm not mad about that. But yeah, no, alternative is not all cook. The alternative is, are you going to order Grubhub? Order us food.
So what
like
is I'm interested, what's a hard that you feel like is particularly important to shield them from? Because I'm interested if we have kind of different perspectives on that.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think money and economics for sure. Like, I don't ever, they never think about that at all, right? Like, at all, at all, at all. That's an important one, right? Like, they don't know. Well, actually, I had to tell Jovan, like, our household income for his, like, FAFSA or whatever, right? And Jared was
He
in
was
the
like,
car and he said,
"What?"
Like, what? Right? Like, they're kids. They don't know, right? Like, I mean, more than $100 sounds like a lot, right? So Darren in the back was like, what? I was like, pipe down, okay? Bro, pipe down. But they don't understand the context of that, the place where we live. I'm like, like, we are damn near in poverty. We live in the Bay Area, right? Like, we actually are damn near poverty. But I don't let them feel that, right? I'm never going to let them ever feel that, even if it feels like me, thinking about money and economics all the time, particularly with this current political climate. I definitely have felt the push, right?
The
like
rent is too damn high. Yes.
Getting harder. It's getting harder. And I'm like, am I gonna be able to do this? Right. And I kind of joke with Jovan because he's older now, like, well, you gonna need to get a job. Right. Like, cause yeah, your job is school, but like, I'm gonna need you to help around here. Like, you're gonna have to show up, So, but I think that's one I've always just protected them from, right? Like, they just know, they just think the ATM is just endless. The ATM being mom, like.
I like that one. I like that one a lot, and I feel similarly. I think some of my own personal reflections are just being raised in a poverty mindset. And so some of the greatest animosities I have, even as an adult, I can recognize that my mom, as a single mom, was well-intentioned and that she was trying to do the best that she could for like each one of our sons. But me and my brothers had very unique needs. I was the straight A student, captain of the basketball team. I was kind of like the easy one. And so whenever I asked for anything, I was reminded how little we had. And I would see those resources get used to like bail my brother out of jail. Like, I asked for a book, but you're putting up $5,000 for bail for my brother. And you made me feel crazy when that book was $50, right? Like, and so I think very much about like, I want you to understand money. I want you to understand money as a tool. I want you to invest money. I want you to learn how to grow your money, but I never want you to be making decisions based on the fact that we don't have money. Like, I don't want you to adopt a poverty mindset or like a scarcity mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's really important to me. At the same time, it's like, bro, like, everybody got tacos and you're going to get a lobster. Like, that's the...
Our son has a very big appetite and he brings that with him to every meal. And typically that means whatever the biggest, most expensive thing is on the menu.
The market price.
Yeah.
That is what, yes.
Market price, I want it.
And it's like, no,
said $3 signs, that's me.
Yeah. And like, I'm not trying to check it in a way that discourages him. But I do think it's Like, all right, we're gonna get to the point very soon where I'm gonna have you take me out, and I'm gonna order the way you order on your dime. And I think that that's the way to get the lesson in there. Like, hey,
Yeah.
how much money do you have on your little green light account, Playboy? Like you taking Poppy to a steakhouse, and I'm gonna order like you order. Oh no, bring that back. I need appetizers. Like, let me. What does MP
Here's a
mean?
dessert, please. Yeah, get that market price.
I
Yeah,
don't.
so yeah, money.
That's such an interesting question. I feel like, so to your point, Michael, I feel like it's important for me to have honest conversations with them because I don't want them to have to guess what I feel or think about particular situations. It's something that even now I'm working to remedy with my own parents, right? Like, so I'll, I was like talking to my mom and I was like, yeah, when you were like, my age now, so 40, whatever, two, and this is where we were, like, what did you think? Like you had, two teenagers and a younger one, and Richard was all over the place, and, then I started having like acting out and like how did you manage? What were you thinking? What would you have done differently? Did you have regrets? Um, but again, I'm 42, right? And this is I think first time in my life that I'm really having like meaningful conversations with my parents about like their thoughts and feelings and so I don't want that for them. I do think if there's anything that I shield them from, um, probably our interactions. Um, and even when we were like in the midst of the very not goodness of, divorce and separation, um, it was always important to not like place blame or point fingers, um, and like to not have them be caught in the middle of that. And so, I mean, now it's different and we're like in a much different place and we, rarely have the kinds of disagreements that, we used to.
I think there's a
But
difference between like how you fight in front of your kids too. So I think they don't need to see this is why we're getting divorce fights. But it's very
Mhm.
reasonable for them to see the like, I don't agree with that. And we're allowed to disagree and arrive at a solution that is somewhere in the middle. Because
Mhm.
I feel like kids are a little too protected sometimes from adult disagreements. And so they don't know how to disagree themselves. They don't have any role models. And if anything, I feel like part of the raison d'etre for the podcast is for us that when we were going through like separation and divorce, there was nobody we could talk to that had any experience that could like give us any game about like, hey, maybe do this and maybe don't do that. And that led to different outcomes than would have been possible otherwise. When people default to like, oh, I'm just gonna take a side, like, oh, I'm Team Marge or I'm Team Mike. It's like, what are the like those Twilight characters? Like, I'm Team Jacob. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
Jacob. Yep.
yeah, like that doesn't actually help anybody. And I think the like being reminded, like, actually, we're on the same team. And so
Mm.
me and your mother might disagree about how we get there, but like we have the same values and we have the same expected outcomes for you. And it's okay for you to hear how we agree, disagree, navigate, and evolve in and around those topics.
Mhm.
Yes. I think the other part of it too is not wanting them to um like feel like they could go to one parent or another and be like, "Oh, well dad said this or Madre said
Oh,
this
that'll
or
never happen.
whatever." Cuz they
Because
definitely try it and I'd be like, "Sounds like you should have a conversation."
yeah, I'm like,
Like I have nothing else to contribute here. Like what
like that's
I'm
funny
not
because
gonna
here's the text message I just sent your mother,
oh.
and she disagrees completely. Hmm.
So yeah. So I guess if anything, I would say like that our dynamic in that way. But otherwise I feel like I tell them like I'm it's just me. I'm a parent of one. And so like when they're at the house, I'll say like, listen, I can't drive you to practice and get dinner ready at the same time. Like I'm just one person. So something's got to give. Um and I feel like it's important that they I don't know, I guess manage their expectations when they're with me. Like yeah, like there's just some things that I can't physically accomplish. Like I'm only one person. Um but yeah, like those are conversations that we have. Like I'll tell them.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I shouldn't, but
I think it's reasonable, but I also think it's like a model. So for me, I hope, I believe that parenting is not meant to be done alone. And so like, and
yes,
like when I reflect on like separation, I do feel particularly lucky that like Marjorie and I made the decision and that we had the kind of career opportunities that let us stay in the same proximity to each other so that we could kind of bounce off of each other, so that we could utilize each other. Even if we're not living in the same household anymore, we could still rely on each other in really important ways where physical presence is necessary. But yeah, like having kids is not something that you're supposed to be doing by yourself. And if you and if you make the decision, I feel like there are some ways in which single parenthood was almost like glamorized. Oh, I don't need it.
There was a whole, what was the thing on MTV? Teen Mom, whatever.
Yeah, like I don't need a partner, and I'm like, yo, like nah, fam,
teenagers.
Like,
yeah,
we're like, go have these babies, and we're gonna put you on TV.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think, you know, like I had said earlier, I don't identify with that single, right? Like I said, I was a scholar mom. I didn't say I was a single mom, right? And I think exactly because what you said, like there's no way I actually have done this on my own. I haven't, right? I do have a co-parent who I can call in a second and we can work things out, and we do when stuff happens. But I also have a partner who I am thankful, who has there's no reason why he would have to step in and help parent, but has chosen to, right? And we've had those conversations with our boys of like, you got two dads, right? Like you lucky because you got one that actually chose you, right? He chose to be here. He could have been like, you know what, me and you ain't gonna work out because you got these two kids, these two boys, right? Like he chose you, right? He chose you. So y'all, so I agree, right? Like, yeah, there's no way I could have done this on my own, right? People, y'all know I used to travel a lot, not as much anymore because these federal dollars have disappeared, but used to travel so much. And everybody always like, well, who's watching your kids? And I'm like, I got support, right? Like I was like my partner or their dad or my mom, right? Like I do have a ton of support, right? Like it's never just been me.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why I don't say, you will never hear me. It's not in my identity, single mom. It's not.
Yeah. I definitely think of like part-time single mom, because even that is like, I'm single mom, but only sometimes. And like, even then, you know.
Sometimes I'm singling, but still got support if I needed it, right?
Man. Yeah. So what's an honest thing about parenting that you've never said out loud, and who needs to hear it?
So I'm happy to start. This was partly my idea. And I'm not going to start it with the preface that I always do. I'm just going to say the thing. Being a parent is really, really hard. And sometimes I wonder, like, what would alternatives look like, right? Like in the multiverse of worlds and options and choices, like I wonder what, like, you know, is there a version of me that's not a mom? And like, what is her life like? She must get a lot of rest. And I assume she also has.
Please, you just be
way
working.
more money.
You just be working instead.
You know what? That's true. When they're not here, I just work. But again,
like me,
it's a choice. It's a choice.
Yeah.
I would work and I'd have more money and more time. I don't know, but our kids are awesome. Like I recognize I'm also very lucky, right? And that, you know, I got one of each, and like we didn't have to try hard, and I recognize the privilege in some of the ways that my life has played out. Like, right, I've been married, I have kids. They're awesome, amazing people. Like, there's so much good in where I am now. But like sometimes I wonder, like, oh, what if I'd made other choices? And I feel like to say that is like verboten, like it's the ultimate taboo. Like, how could you not always love being a mom with every fiber of your being and your heart and soul? And it's like, because sometimes I'm tired, right? Like sometimes it's not, you know, butterflies and rainbows and this like awesome, amazing thing. And like, yeah, like sometimes I don't have it. And I think that you're kind of like not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
So that's my honest parenting truth.
Yeah. I think mine is that, and this is, I think, because my kids are getting older, so that almost 18. I think a lot, but I don't say it out loud. That I wish I would have had more kids. Actually, it was my fault. I'm Big Mike. Like it's something it's just part of my identity. I don't think of it as any other way, right? And I don't think there's days when I wish I wasn't a mother. Like that's never. But yeah. I think about that a
More.
lot more recently. You know, like I said, I think as you start to get older and realize I can't have any more kids soon. It's coming. Yeah, I'm definitely like, I wish I would have had more kids, right? Like two is not enough. Maybe it should have been
Mhm.
4 or 5. Yeah.
Why? Can I ask, like, is there a why or?
You know, but I mean, I just, I don't have a girl. I
Okay.
think about that. I got 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. You know, these boys are gonna go, and who's gonna be here with me? It's gonna be lonely. I'm gonna be sad. You know, it's gonna be different. So I think if you have more, then you have a lot more time
Time.
with the children energy, right? Children
Mm-hmm.
energy is different. And I can say that as being in the house
Yes.
right now with my kids gone for 6 weeks, right? The children energy is not here. It's
Yeah.
just different energy. Y'all know that. It's just
Yeah.
funny. Life is just funny. It's just fun all the time. You
I
know,
could
hard and
never,
fun.
Yeah.
yeah, I could never imagine a world where I didn't have kids, and I was still myself.
Mm.
But I do think about timing of
Mhm.
children. And so Marjorie and I were like pretty young parents.
Sorry,
Uh,
guys. So
and being young parents means that your kids interrupt your podcasts from time to time. But like
Our life.
for me, if I were like, oh, what would you do differently? I worry because I'm like butterfly effect, multiverse, all that kind of stuff too. Whereas like, all right, if I didn't have kids at this time, then I would have different kids. And like I really love my kids. I love my 2 kids from my first wife. I love my 1 kid from my second wife. I love currently being snipped so that there are no more kids coming. Like, but I would never really imagine a space where I didn't have kids, but I do think a lot about like, man, I wish we had had like a little bit more of a fiscal foundation before we started having kids. Like we were kind of in the middle. Marjorie and I were both doctoral students when we had our son, and we were in the middle of figuring out like who we were. We didn't know about careers. We didn't know if we were going to get faculty jobs or like policy jobs or whatever. And there were so many things that weren't decided that created their own kind of contingencies as an upshoot of that. That if I had it to do over again, the thing that I would say is like, yo, I would have liked to be a little bit more career and financially secure before having kids, but I would still want to have kids. And that's where I get the thing that Marjorie didn't say about the Emma Grede character is that she's jealous because she's like, I wish I could 3-hour mom. Like if I had enough bread to offload these ninjas to a
So she has a
nanny and
chief
like
of staff. She has a chef. She has a driver. She has nannies, plural. Who am I missing? There's somebody else on the team. And so like,
it's a team. Yeah.
yeah, if you have other people to delegate work to, and
Yeah,
I
like-
get to just do the fun memory stuff,
Yeah,
I'm
and
mom all the time too.
I don't know that I would want that robust of a staff, but it would be dope to be like, yo, we're getting on the plane and the kids are good. Like I don't need to
Right.
I don't need to
Let's
horse
think about it.
trade. I don't have to call, grandma. I don't have to figure out calendars and travel or all that type of stuff. We have that. And I think that that's my other piece of it where because I'm a military brat, I deeply and completely underestimated the value of proximity to family and like especially extended family that you can rely on. And I have no desire to live in South Jersey where my mom lives, but like I wish I could like get close family and friends closer to the kids. Like one as just relief and connection, but 2 is like socializing agents, like people who can understand our histories, understand who we are, who have as much love, care, and concern for our kids as we do. Like I miss that. And if there's something about like being in Columbia, Missouri in particular, Marjorie talked about this a couple episodes back, but I was like, man, it really is lonely when you're used to like a really big network of friends and family. And you grew up where, yeah, I was in Dallas for this wedding the last weekend, and I was like, I have 20 cousins that live in and around Dallas,
Yeah.
and they're all here. And if I lived in Dallas, the political environment in Dallas is not the most welcoming to people who do what we do. The equity and diversity scholarship, we talk about the dried up funding. Yeah, it's a little reckless. Yeah. But just thinking about like, man, I wish I had thought more about what it means to be close to family physically, in terms of like pursuing the parenting story. I think that would have been helpful.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that feels like a good place to end.
Yeah. So want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Gina Garcia,
Yes.
Cardi G. Red bottoms.
That's a whole other episode. We
Yeah.
have to
Yes.
unpack that.
We
Yeah,
will
we'll-
absolutely have you back. Yes.
We'll definitely have
nickname.
you back. We go cop all of her books that were mentioned up front, and that will also be in the show notes.
Yep. And listen to Que Pasa HSIs.
Listen
Yes.
to K-Pop
Promote.
HSIs. We'll be cross promoting heavy.
Mhm.
But also recognize that the conversations that we're having here on air are conversations that we're having on a regular basis. You know, like when we get to connect, when we see each other at conferences, when we see each other just in everyday life, people are much more complex than what they do for a living. Like the concerns that we have about partnership and parenting and like connection to the larger world. And also just thinking about like, what is the world that we're trying to shape for the children that we're passing on to these next phases. Like, what does that look like? These things are at the front of our mind and at the front of the minds of a lot of really talented and amazing scholars like Gina who do this work on a regular basis. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. First guest on Parents and Professors podcast.
Yes.
Very, very fitting.
Yay!
And we will catch you guys next time. Peace. If this conversation resonated with you, do us a huge, huge, huge favor. Like the episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all our socials. I actually be going crazy on Instagram, so that's the best one.
And please feel free to drop a comment below. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, where you'd like us to dig deeper, or even if you think we missed something. We're always learning and growing, and we want to make sure that we're creating content that resonates with viewers like you.
And most importantly, and this is a huge one, if you know somebody who could benefit from hearing the conversations that we're having on this episode, please share. Sharing is caring. We're doing this for the love and to build a community because it matters.
And at the end of the day, that's the most important part, creating spaces where we can have real, honest conversations about the things that matter to you, education, parenting, relationships, and everything in between.
So thanks for being part of our community. Go check out the catalog of other episodes if you haven't. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Parents and Professors podcast.
No cap,